Good evening, I'm Ingrid Hoxa. Our top stories.
Town and Gown combine to host bigger and better events. We discover what they don't teach you at law school. Raising a glass to brewing in Buckingham.
Buckingham Council is seeking to join forces with the Student Union event team to produce joint projects. The Student Union team is responsible for organising events and parties held at the OTM for students, but may soon have access to a larger venue that will also be open to the public. Annie Lynn has this report.
An events team meeting was called at 6:30 on Monday evening, where PR and community collaborator came to talk to the member of the event team about a collaboration project.
So I work in the community liaison and the PR team of the department. And I went to a meeting recently with the council, and they mentioned that did we have any ideas for events? That if they thought it was a viable and suitable one, that perhaps they might help us with. So, for example, some people have said a talent night, but rather than just having it just the university, it could be the university and the community. And if they felt this was a good idea, they might do something like help with perhaps maybe provide the community centre, which is obviously a bigger venue than what we've got here.
Diana Blamers from the university wants to be able to present the ideas of the students to the council. Kumi Points is in charge of the Student Union events team, and if you have any idea, please be in touch with him or another member of the events team. This is Annie Lynn report for Buckingham News.
Imad Elias, a law school alumni, returned to Buckingham on Thursday evening to let students into the secrets of what they don't teach you at law school. Jade Taylor went along to find out more about the hush-hush side of courtroom craft.
Imad Elias graduated from the University of Buckingham in 1986 and has returned to give advice to the current students in the law school.
Imad Elias is the founder and managing director of Elias Marine Consultants Limited. In his lecture, he spoke about practical steps for lawyers and what is not taught at law school.
It's been 26 years. In 26 years, one of you may be standing here in my place. So let's see what in the interim you would have done.
The first lesson Mr. Elias gave was on billing.
Clients appreciate their lawyers, but not their bills. So they're very happy about the lawyer. Oh, he's great, he understands me like that very, very quickly. And then when he gets the bill, oh my God, this guy's a disaster. You know,
So, Arad, how has the university changed since you were here?
It's become much more modern, obviously. 26 years makes a lot of change since 1986 when I graduated.
Yeah.
The intake is obviously a lot larger than it used to be.
Yeah.
I think in those days we were probably only 100 or so students, or maybe a couple of hundred students.
How do you encourage students to focus on your main points of your presentation?
I think it's the practical steps that I really wanted to focus on. Obviously, Buckingham has very high standards on legal education, but as I mentioned during the presentation, experience is the next best teacher.
Yes.
And people should be aware about how they would need to apply what they're studying when they get into practice, and start to think from now as to the fields of law that they might want to go into.
Do you think some students, when they're studying law, they don't quite understand the intensity of the subject when they take it on?
Absolutely, and I always think to myself that if I could go back to university and study law again, I think I would appreciate it a hell of a lot more.
This is Jade Taylor reporting for Buckingham News.
Eddie Hines managed to fulfill his dream in October last year when he got the chance to start his own brewery in Buckingham. Teresa Speisberger beat all the other reporters to the punch to land this story and pay a visit. Warning, this report contains stuff that will make you very thirsty.
Buckingham is known for its university, the old jail and swans, but it also has some rather unknown treasures to offer. One of them is Buckingham Brewery. For almost a year now, it is brewing beer in Buckingham and selling it to liquor stores and restaurants in the town and beyond.
I've always been interested in brewing beer. probably 20 years ago I used to do a lot of home brew, and it's just grown from there really. So Buckingham Brewery itself started in October last year, 2011, and the main reason was we got the opportunity to buy some brewery plant, and it's to fulfil a dream really. So,
What is it like to be a microbrewery in the UK?
there's more microbreweries in the UK now than there's ever been. It's roughly 600 microbreweries. So the main challenges are there's a lot of choice out there. So it's making something that's slightly different or a lot better than everyone else's, so that people will buy your beer.
Does that mean that there's a huge competition between microbreweries?
It's not so much a challenge of competition between microbreweries. It's just getting your brand known and getting people to try it and enjoy it.
Is there a special ingredient that makes Buckingham beer different from others?
Every beer is unique. We set out, we wanted to make quality, not quantity. So we brew in very small amounts. We bottle most of it because that's the market we went for. And we spent a lot of time doing market research, so we spent a lot of time brewing different types of beer and then doing research to see what people liked. So it's just a unique taste that people seem to really like.
The brewery has only a small number of employees.
There's no full-time people work here. It's very much a part-time business at the moment, but it's probably the equivalent of 1.5 full-time people. There's all the family members that help out, and we have other people who spend a little time doing sales, etc. So everybody contributes. So I'd say it's probably the equivalent of 1.5 full-time people.
For a refreshing sip of this amber nectar, visit TJ's off-license or Nelson Street restaurant. This is Theresa Spiesberger reporting for Buckingham News.
Tuesday evening saw a tale of artistic rivalry unfold at the IFLH when art history lecturer Dr. Adriano Imonino took a rapt audience back in time to the court of George III. Tolu Ogundeep was there for Buckingham News.
We're here in the Ian Fairbairn Lecture Hall where Dr. Imonino is holding his lecture.
George III was a great patron and a great collector, and his figure as patron and collector has been reassessed in the last 20-30 years.
For most of the 1760s and 70s, the king and his principal courtier, Hugh Percy, the first Duke of Northumberland, were locked in competitive collecting of works of art, designing beautiful houses and assembling displays of books, coins, and antiquities.
Because George III didn't want to live in the same space of his grandfather, he decided to acquire from the Duke of Buckingham this rather modest house called Buckingham House or Queen House, which I'm sure that most of you know today as Buckingham Palace.
While the king, whom history regards as a bit of a dull old stick, improved the modest Buckingham House into the forerunner of Buckingham Palace, the Duke built Northumberland House in London, renewed Syon House in Middlesex, and restored Alnwick Castle, the family seat of the Percys in Northumberland. We interviewed the lecturer, Dr. Adriano Imonino. What is the importance of displaying the artwork collected by George III and Queen Charlotte?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important, even though in London you have huge competitors like, of course, the National Gallery, the British Museum, the V&A, the Court also. A lot of tourists, they would choose to go to the National Gallery first and then to the Royal Collection. I think the Royal Collection is visited mainly by tourists rather than English people, because it's all the fascination with royalty, which of course is obsessive in America, for instance. No?
This lecture is the second out of 3 art history Jubilee summer lectures.
Thank you very much indeed, Adriano, for a fascinating lecture.
The final Art History Jubilee Summer Lecture will be held on the 4th of September. This is Tolu Ogundepe reporting for Buckingham News.
Underwater rescue crews sprang into action Friday morning after a 999 report of a body in the Great Ooze.
A member of the public called the emergency services around 8 a.m. after spotting what he thought was a head going under the murky waters of the river by the Hunter Street Bridge. Police and ambulance services arrived quickly, accompanied by 3 fire appliances and a rescue dinghy team. However, a thorough long-hour search of the river between Tindwick Road and Hunter Street revealed nothing, and the crews were stood down.
The poets of the Buckingham Cultural Society are going into print. An anthology of the university's best verse is being put together for publication by the Buckingham University Press. Angelina Rubanko met the versifiers at a meeting of the society.
Here we are at the Mitre, where Poetry Club, which is a part of Cultural Society, is having the first meeting since February. I'm here to talk to the members about the group and listen to some poetry. So, what inspired you to start this group?
Well, basically the poetry group, it's a group, not a society, was set up, or the idea of it was introduced by Felicity. I was then sort of volunteered by the group, as it was in about September, to organise it.
Well, George started, but I think there are quite a lot of poets in Buckingham.
Well, I mean, basically we had a group, a very unofficial group meeting in the OTM for 6 odd months, which then degraded because everyone was too busy last term, and then we're just getting back on basically.
Lilies sway, lilies smile, they smile at me. The white petals sprinkled with gold dust sway gently as life used to be. They shimmer in the sun's light, as I shimmered once, a Madonna of all types, but only previously.
Mike remembers something else too. He remembers reading in a newspaper that the London Underground is home to a unique strain of mosquito that has adapted to the tunnels. Large, blind, capable of breeding and feeding all year round, living off the ambient moisture, and capable, unlike their surface-dwelling counterparts, of feeding from rats and mice. This subspecies has thrived in the dark, and there's something else about them. They're particularly prolific and aggressive feeders.
The group meets in the pub for a more relaxed and comfortable feeling. They use this time to read and discuss their poetry.
Writing in pubs is an age-old British tradition. A lot of the best writing throughout history has been composed in pubs. Oh, written in pubs indeed.
Which is why we're holding it at the Mitre, because they do really, really, really good bit. And we're looking forward to the poetry anthology, which we're going to collate and...
the poetry anthology is going to be edited and selected by Graham Roos from submissions from students, and each successful poem that goes into the anthology will have an accompanying illustration by professional illustrators.
This is Angelina Rubanko reporting for Buckingham News.
Thank you for watching Buckingham News. This is our last broadcast this term, but we will be back in October, and we look forward to telling more of your stories. Have a great weekend.